It's a testament to how far VR games have come that I can spend hours at a time flying around in my very own Iron Man suit without feeling even the slightest bit of motion sickness. Marvel's Iron Man VR makes impressive use of PSVR as an amusing, high-flying action game full of superhero flair. But repetitive missions and a bland story keep the PS4's latest Marvel exclusive from ever flying too high. Iron Man VR's familiar plot has Tony Stark struggling with the ramifications of his past life as a war profiteer, this time up against the villain Ghost. While the story can be entertaining at times,
he was sort of a silent partner.
I'm a genius!
It generally falls flat by being the antithesis of the phrase show don't tell. It's told primarily through exposition-heavy conversations between only loosely connected missions, which didn't do much to get me emotionally invested in Tony's journey. Especially when serious moments are frequently undercut by stuff like this. When you're not nimbly soaring through the air on a mission, you'll be walking around Tony's lavish Malibu home, or upgrading your suit. His house is full of cute little interactables like tablets with news reports and edible food. They're neat details, but also aren't worth more than a quick glance if this isn't your first foray into VR. Except this basketball arcade machine, which is actually pretty fun. Thankfully, you're not really here to play as Tony Stark. You're here to play as Iron Man, and there, Iron Man VR delivers. While suited up, pulling the triggers of your PlayStation Move controllers will turn on your hand repulsors and push you away from whatever direction your palms are facing. Point them down and you'll gain altitude. Back and you'll rocket forward. This system offers a great amount of flexibility in your movement, and became second nature by the time I was asked to fight large packs of robots at once or weave in and out of the terrain.
No need. I've got a mind like a steel trap.
Oh yeah? When's my birthday?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Pepper, you're cutting out.
There's just something oh so satisfying about seeing an enemy charging up an attack, flicking your palms back to boost past them, and then blasting them to bits from behind. And it's good that it's fun because you'll be doing that a lot. There are only 6 basic enemy types in Iron Man VR, but they generally make you move and fight in ways that are more than just simply pointing and shooting. One enemy is easy to take down, but will put up a shield around others, while another is untouchable until you juke its main laser attack and unload while its guard is down. I had fun switching tactics on the fly, but the lack of variety does eventually wear thin. See, Iron Man VR has a general content reuse problem, not just with enemies, but by having you retread locations and even some boss fights too. Mid-mission objectives add superheroic moments to break up combat by making you do stuff like muscle open a door or stop a bomb, but the fights between those bits of flavor start to feel a little too similar. A post-mission results screen adds a bit of a score attack element, but I never felt motivated to retry a mission when I knew more of the same was on the way. That said, optional combat and race challenges do provide a slightly more compelling reason to revisit a location. Completing both optional and main missions will earn you research points that can be used to unlock new tricks for your suit, and nearly every upgrade is available right away for the same cheap price. On the one hand, that rules, since it lets you quickly experiment with new auxiliary weapons like rockets and machine guns to find a playstyle that appeals to you. On the other hand, it means progression is rendered essentially non-existent. No upgrade is an objective improvement, it's just a matter of preference, so I stopped caring about them as soon as I found what I liked, which was less than halfway through the roughly 6 hours it took me to beat the campaign. I have a decent amount of optional challenges still left to do, but I wasn't really drawn to do them when the rewards felt irrelevant. But despite the progression problems in reused content, it's worth noting that Iron Man VR is probably one of the better uses of PSVR tech I've tried. Apart from some extremely long and frequent loading screens, that is. This is one of the few PSVR games I've played that consistently tracked my hands and head nearly perfectly even as I spun in 360-degree circles in my living room. Playing Iron Man VR felt surprisingly comparable to using headsets like the Oculus Quest, or others with more advanced equipment than the single-direction tracking PSVR uses, which is impressive. Marvel's Iron Man VR is not the next Marvel's Spider-Man, and it's not a system-selling killer app for PSVR. But despite falling short of those admittedly high bars, it's still a fun time. While Tony Stark's story may not have grabbed my interest all that much, flying around as his alter ego was a thrill, and its aerial dogfights stayed engaging even if mission and enemy variety eventually ran thin. For more VR, check out our reviews of Half-Life Alyx or Phantom Covert Ops. And for everything else, keep it right here on IGN.